Welcome to our last objective for Module 1. So this one is recalling instructions to create a product. This is really, really short, little tiny subject. I would usually get you guys to do a bunch of activities in class, but I am going to put you guys into groups onto D2L, and you can work separately or together on it at the same time. I mean, that's what I mean by separate or together. So asynchronous, which means separately, like at different times, but still contributing to the same thing, or doing it all together at the same time. So this is recalling instructions. So this is really important. Again, everything that I teach is really important. So every time I say that, yes, it's really important. So you got to know it all. But this one is a basic skill. So instructions are given to you for a reason. And instructions are very, very, very required to be followed, because if your boss gives you a job and all you need to do is do one quick measurement, and you spent 4 hours doing a full-blown development permit because you didn't read the instructions, then you've just wasted a ton of money in your company to do that. If you call because you have a problem and you're like, hey, I need help with troubleshooting, and they give you verbal instructions over the phone on how to do it, then you go back to your site and you forgot, and then you got to go back to where there's cell phone service again to try to recall what they just said. Again, you're wasting company time and wasting company money. This is not going to get you hired by doing that. It's not going to let you keep your job by doing that. So instructions are so, so important. And that goes for reading instructions for your exams, for your assignments. Go through, highlight. There's a whole bunch of tricks that we can talk about, and that's going to be part of the activity, perhaps. So instructions come in different ways. They can be written, they can be verbal, hand signals, right? In surveying, you learn hand signals because you got to go away, you got to move away, you got to move to the left, you got to move to the right. If you can point in the right direction, your assistant that's out there with the nail can actually see through your hand signals how far to go. And you don't even have to say anything or talk through your dead walkie-talkie or call them or text them. All those things can take time. A quick hand signal is giving instructions. They do it all the time at airports, right? So you need to be able to interpret it and apply the instructions. So interpretation and application is really, really important again. So if I say, give me 3 decimal places, guess what? You give me 3 decimal places. If I say, and that just means only 3 decimal places, that does not mean that you give me 2 because there's a 0 at the end. It does not mean that you give me none because they're all zeros. It does not mean that you give me 20 because all of that is wrong. I asked for 3 decimal places. No more, no less. That is what you're going to give me. So clients are going to be the same way when you get into industry. So you go out and they say, I want this, and you give them something that they didn't ask for, they're not going to be happy about that. So you have to be able to listen to instructions. If you don't read what you need to do first, you could end up doing the wrong thing. So in class, I often give out a little quiz, and it's based on reading instructions, and I know right away, and everybody laughs about it. We can tell right away who has not read the instructions. So really, really important to read the instructions. Obviously online, it's hard to mess up on an exam, but if I ask you to circle an answer, the correct answer, and you write a letter, that is doing the wrong thing. So you actually didn't read the instructions. In this class, I give you instructions and I mark you based on you being able to read instructions. I give you time to read instructions, so please ensure that you read all the instructions, because if you do the wrong thing, it's wrong. So the next thing, write notes if you want to try to remember the instructions. So let's say you get verbal instructions, write it down. If I give you a whole bunch of instructions and a whole bunch of steps, write them down in your own words. That way that you will remember, you will have it in your own words. It's easy for you to interpret and for you to work through. So there are a bunch of different ideas, and we will work through that with the activity on D2L with our groups. But to end, seriously, read instructions thoroughly. Spend the first 5 minutes, if you have to, reading instructions of before you dive into something so that you know what you are doing. There's nothing worse than doing something and then having to go back and redo it because you didn't read the instructions. So that's it for Module 1, and we'll be getting into Module 2 next week.